Okay. Hi. So that book title didn't come out of nowhere. I have an anxiety disorder, and part of that is I am so scared of going over time. So if you see me looking at my phone, I'm making sure that I am within my time limits. I also had a stress dream last night where I was talking for like 2 minutes, and this dance troupe came out, and y'all just followed them and left, and I cried, and it was all incredibly sad. But at the same time, y'all were willing to be here at 9 in the morning on a Wednesday, and that is a tremendous sign that you all care so much about your community here, and that is incredibly huge to me that people are engaged and want to talk about this stuff. So my background a little bit, I'm a food writer, not so much a restaurant writer, a food writer, and I've also been lucky enough to be able to talk about my own struggles with mental health, just to put it on the table. Got an anxiety disorder, a panic disorder, depression, and a brand new shiny diagnosis of ADHD, which explains a lot to me. But can I get a quick show of hands here? Who works in restaurants? A fair amount of you. Who here knows somebody who works in restaurants who struggles with mental health issues? How many here know somebody who has lost their life due to mental health issues, addiction, etc.? Yeah. In 2016, January 1st, I started a website called Chefs with Issues because I was so tired of seeing chefs die. And those are just the chefs I know about. People die all the time in restaurants and nobody talks about it. People started talking to me about it because I worked at CNN and had a really big platform to talk about mental health. And the upshot of that was that as the food editor, I would be interviewing a chef or somebody who works in a restaurant, and there would come a point in the interview where we'd turn off the recorders and they'd say to me, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" And it happened a couple of times, them talking about their own issues, about somebody in their restaurant, and I thought, like, okay, they trust me because I've been pretty public, and it started happening most of the time. So that particular day, I believe in the power of January 1st and a new start, so I threw up this website thinking like, oh, maybe some people who will find it and feel a little bit less alone. I also threw up just like a Google survey to ask people what they were dealing with, and if they had ever talked to anybody about it, if they had been open at work, what they had done to address it. And letters started coming in, emails, comments through the forum, a lot of people saying like, oh my God, thank you for talking about this. I've never seen it talked about before. And there was a certain amount of pushback too. People saying, what the hell business is it of yours? Why are you trying to make us weak? Shut up and cook was the mantra. Like, talking about this kind of stuff makes you a pussy. Like, how dare you talk about this stuff? So, they weren't seeing what I was seeing. Through the comment form, I would get people just spilling their stories because they had nowhere else to put it. One day I thought I would go through those and sort of aggregate them. I had 20,000 words worth of people telling me about what was going on with them. They didn't necessarily want an answer. They just wanted somewhere to put it. So I thought, like, okay, I'm getting pushback about this. I get it. People are always going to be upset because it's really hard to face a reality. And then something happened. Anthony Bourdain took his own life 3 months ago. There's no denying it after that, that this was a real and present problem, and that the person who a lot of people in the industry looked to as having absolutely everything, he was the line cook who made good. He had his heart in the kitchen and his soul there, and he sung the praises of the people in the back who never got the spotlight. They were never on any of those were in those articles and the reviews and anything. They did their job and they kept doing it, and he was their champion. He went around the world, he had access, he had money, and he didn't want to be alive anymore, and people couldn't understand why this happened. There's a Facebook group that goes along with Chefs with Issues. I started it last summer. The morning that Tony died, there were 828 people in it. As of a couple nights ago, there are 2,300 people in that Facebook group because people didn't know where to put this. We as a society suck at talking about mental health, talking about pain, talking about our feelings, talking about all kinds of stuff because we're really afraid of being awkward, of making it awkward. And double that when you work in a restaurant where you have to be a hard ass at all times. If you're in the back, you have to be a hard ass and not show any pain. If you're in the front of house, you have to be on for the guests. And this is a lot of people putting their heart and souls into taking care of the guests and not taking care of their own needs, being afraid to talk to the people around them about what they're going through. The survey I put up on that first day, I thought I'd get a few dozen responses to it. Last I looked, there were over 2,000 responses to it. And the one that really stuck with me, the stat that really stuck with me, was that the vast majority of people who responded to it said they had never spoken to anyone in their restaurants about their mental health issues because they were afraid of being thought of as weak or crazy. And that broke my heart because statistically speaking, somebody else on the line there is suffering from the same things that you are. It's all happening right there. The solidarity should be right there, and people don't know how to talk about it because they're afraid of it being awkward. They're afraid of somebody being mad at them. They're afraid of showing vulnerability. And something that Anthony Bourdain talked about toward the end of his life was his involvement in the Me Too movement, and he was saying he hadn't heard stories of women coming to him to say, you know, this has happened to me, here's what's going on in the kitchen, and he wondered, what was it about him? What behavior of his could he change to make himself a person who people were willing and interested to talk to about this? And I think this is something that everybody in this room can do, is to make yourself somebody who it's easy to talk to about this, who people can come to and say, hey, I'm really struggling with this particular thing. I'm having a bad brain day. I think I'm maybe drinking too much. I'm spiraling and I'm worried about myself, or I'm worried about this other person who works with us, who we care about, and we all see it happening and everybody's too afraid to say something about it. So there are just a few easy things that you can do just to start this. This isn't therapy, this isn't an all-over solution. This is just a way to get the conversation started. First of all, you've got to make it not weird. You have to make it just kind of omnipresent. A really good way to do this is, if you all would write down a number, it's 741-741. It is crisis text line, and there are volunteers there 24/7. It's a really great thing because you don't have to call. Somebody doesn't have to call. Say they're in a domestic situation. They don't have to be overheard on the phone. They can sit in a bathroom stall and text somebody who will listen and get them resources. And it's trained crisis counselors on the other end of it, and it's just a great thing to have on the wall of wherever you work. Crisis text line 741-741, and they also respond via Facebook Messenger, and it's just it's something that can just be out there. Ask the people around you how they are, and let them know that they can give you the real answer. They might just say, oh, I'm fine, it's okay. It's good, it's good. And we've all had the brush off because that's the easy thing to say. We're all conditioned to say, oh, I'm fine. If you think it's safe, push a level deeper. Say like, okay, want to give me the real answer? And be prepared to listen to it. Even if it's not right then, let them know that they can do that. Let them know that you give a crap about their well-being. And it's a pretty easy thing to do. How are you? Okay, how are you really? It's super quick. It's not weird. It might feel a little bit awkward at first because somebody might not be ready for that, and it's okay if they don't answer right then. That's fine. They might come back to you later, or they might go to somebody in their life like, hey, do I seem a little off? Sometimes you don't see the result of it, but it's definitely there. Another great thing to do is text people. Send a little text. I'm thinking about you. Are you okay? There's one little extra bit of language that you can put on the end of that. No need to respond. Or respond if you have time or something, because if you're down at the bottom of the hole of depression, anxiety, self-loathing, whatever it happens to be, I've been there. on many occasions, and it's hard for me to respond, especially I feel really guilty if somebody is caring about me. Sorry, I'm gonna go over a little bit, sorry. But yeah, it's really, sorry, I just faced my fear and got over it. But we're gonna whip through this really quickly. Just say to them, no need to respond right now. It's okay. You know, and that takes a little bit of pressure off them to know, so there's not one more thing that they haven't gotten around to. Just like, and they'll come back to you later. Check in on your toughest friends, on your friends who seem like they really have it all together, who are smiling all the time, who are the caretakers of everybody. Check in on them and see how they're doing. They are probably the ones with the brightest, sparkliest face. You never know really what is going on with them, and they need a lot of help. And something that I really love about your community in particular is there is a group, I am sorry, I don't remember what the group is called now. It was Mile High Hospitality Hazards, has a new, it's called Chow Now. Thank you for that. Get together with people. Get together with people in a room, let people know nothing leaves the room. It's like Vegas, it's like a meeting, it's whatever, that they are safe to talk about whatever they need to. Make it a regular thing, doesn't have to be super formal. Meet at one of your restaurants, meet wherever you need to, because the biggest thing in the world is knowing that you're not alone. Feeling like you're alone just compounds it, makes it so much more difficult. Knowing that there's one other person out there who gives a crap about you, who might be going through the same sort of thing, is the most important thing in the world. And it might be a little bit awkward to have this conversation with somebody, and this is going to sound a little bit dire, but you know, it's super awkward, like if you ask your line cook how they're doing and they start to cry, but it is better than crying at their funeral, and that is the actual risk of this. So check in on your people, check in on yourselves, and take care of yourself, Denver.